you gonna rank the Star Wars movies? She is not. Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't worry, I am too, and today we're gonna do something fun and somewhat controversial. Controversial yet brave, some may say. Today, we're gonna rank the Star Wars movies and the shows. I have been an avid Star Wars fan since I was about 10, so for maybe about 9 years. I don't remember why exactly I became a fan. It was either because my dad was a fan or because the guys I was friends with at school, they really liked Origami Yoda. So I watched the movies and I read Origami Yoda, and yeah, I became obsessed with both Star Wars and origami. Here are some examples of my origami creations that I did in fact post to origamiyoda.com in 2015. All this to say, I have been a fan of Star Wars for a very, very long time. So I do feel very qualified to rank these movies and shows. To start off our ranking, I haven't seen Resistance, so I don't feel qualified to rank that one. So we're gonna put that in its own little tier called NA. Warning, all of this is my opinion. My ranking is just kind of based on my memory and vibes. No further introduction, let's just jump into it. First up on the roster, we have Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, the one that started it all, originally in 1977. This movie, plain and simple, is just iconic. A cultural reset, some may say. Such a solid introduction into the world of Star Wars. So solid, in fact, that J.J. Abrams, in my opinion, basically just like copied and pasted the script for episode 4 and changed the names to make episode 7. Anyway, it leaves questions in the mind of the viewer that have like persisted for decades. One of those being the Clone Wars, which we are in fact going to talk about later. Aside from the lore, the movie introduces us to some of the most iconic characters in film history and this series, most notably this movie, but all across this trilogy. The practical effects are amazing. While I don't think this movie is the best Star Wars movie, and it certainly is not my favorite, I don't think I can put this any lower than A tier. Next up, we have what is considered to be the best Star Wars film by many fans out there, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. I do certainly think that there is merit to people saying this is the best Star Wars film. Like in A New Hope, so much of this film is iconic, and like I don't blame you if this is your favorite Star Wars film. However, I forgot that I wrote this in. This film does introduce the ever-present threat of incest in the Star Wars franchise. There are still debates going on whether Rey and Kylo Ren are related. So Empire Strikes Back, I blame you. Anyway, this movie, it's not my favorite Star Wars movie. It's my least favorite out of the original trilogy. Hate to say it, but it's true. I think that parts of this movie really drag, just like stuff on Hoth and Bespin. But on Bespin, one of my favorite characters is introduced, Lando Calrissian. I love him. So with that being said, I'm gonna put this movie in a solid B tier. Now, to close out the original trilogy, we have my favorite movie from when I was a kid, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. There is just something I love so much about this movie that I can't really put my finger on it. Like I said, it was my favorite when I was a kid, so I guess that love has just kind of transcended time. It's followed me as I've gone. This movie has a lot going for it, one of those things being Leia's outfits. My personal favorite Leia outfit from when I was a kid comes from this movie. Speaking of Leia looks, I do think it's a bit weird that this movie introduces the concept of slavery into the Star Wars universe. What are we doing here, guys? Despite this movie introducing slavery, all the main characters are adamantly anti-slavery, so that's good. Moving on from that, Luke's arc, in my opinion, concludes in a very beautiful way, with him defeating the Emperor by his father's side. Speaking of Luke, this movie introduces us to Chanel boots Skywalker. His new outfit symbolizes his temptation to the dark side, but during his final battle with Vader, well, I guess it's with the Emperor, but he also fights Vader a little bit. There's like a middle flap right here, and it like flips open, revealing like a white panel. It symbolizes the light prevailing in him, and I love symbolism. This movie, in my opinion, is a very solid S tier. I'm gonna get hate for this. Oh, y'all need to sit down and think and realize that the prequels are not as good as you think they are. Some of them at least, and that's okay. Prime example of this phenomenon being Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Episode 1 is fine. It's okay. It's nothing special. That's fine. It serves its purpose. It establishes who Anakin is, who Obi-Wan is, and what they're doing, and why they're gonna do stuff together in the next 2 movies. While this movie is not, certainly not, the worst offender, this movie highlights George Lucas's poor dialogue writing skills. Look at this clip of Mark Hamill.
The dialogue was a little bit difficult. I remember there was one line that I just begged him to take out of the screenplay, and he finally did. And
you
it's
remember
when,
the line?
Yes, boy, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I sometimes dream about this line. It was just coming upon the exploded planet of the princess,
Right.
Alderaan, and it's
Alderaan.
totally been blown away. And Harrison says, "Look, kid, I've done my part of the bargain. When I get to an asteroid, you, the old man, and the droids get dropped off." And my line was, "But we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Sullust, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault." And I thought, who talks like this, George?
That's how Mr. Lucas writes dialogue. No one was able to tell him no in these movies, so parts of this movie also, like in Empire, just kind of drag on. They go on for a little bit too long. The pod racing scene, it did not have to be that long. Also, this is just a personal gripe. Why didn't Qui-Gon just like steal Shmi? Did he offer to take her too? I don't remember. I haven't seen this movie in a while. Anyway, this movie does introduce us to the iconic character Padme Amidala and her light-year-sized wardrobe. Space joke. So I am eternally grateful for that. Overall, this movie isn't the best, but it certainly isn't the worst. Therefore, I'm gonna put it in D tier. Next up, we have Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Can you tell that I'm scared to voice my opinion? Attack of the Clones is a wild ride. It does not have the issue of the previous movie where things just drag on because so much happens in this movie. In this movie, we have clone armies, gladiator fights, kinda, mass murder, and romance. Just, there's so much going on. My opinion, this movie is the worst offender when it comes to dialogue. Even though the "I don't like sand" scene is iconic, no one talks like that. And at the end of that scene, by the way, he like caresses her arm. Get a job! Stay away from her! Anyway, this film, in my opinion, is much stronger than its predecessor, and I think that credit goes to Hayden Christensen. I feel like on set, it's much more beneficial for everyone involved if your main character is 19 instead of 9. Once again, Padme does turn looks, and Obi-Wan does as well. Unfortunately, their looks cannot save this movie from Hayden's acting and the lack of chemistry, in my opinion, between Anakin and Padme. Because like something like that just harms the whole film when your main thing is the romance between Anakin and Padme. But for all these reasons, I'm gonna put Attack of the Clones in C tier. C for clone, I guess. Yeah, that's how we're justifying it. Last up, for the prequel trilogy, we have Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I love to be a hater. However, this movie is one thing that I cannot hate on. This movie is amazing. However, I do not think that it is God's gift to cinema like so many of y'all out there think it is. It's really good. I would go as far to say that it's amazing. But I feel like a lot of that stems from the fact that we have so much extra Star Wars content that isn't just the movies, where we can be like, oh, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. I think there's like 4 or 5 hour cuts or edits of Revenge of the Sith and season 7 of Clone Wars and Obi-Wan and all these other things together. I think it's getting a little out of hand. Dave Filoni, if you're watching this. I feel like Revenge of the Sith is only so infamous because of all the extra content. It is good, it's great, but like, y'all need to calm down. In terms of quotability, this movie is S tier. Wait, I'm not finished. Revenge is definitely one of the best Star Wars films. I would say it's top two best Star Wars films. However, it's my list, so I get to rank it wherever I want to. This film does commit a few sins that will unfortunately deprive it from its S tier status. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. It's just my opinion. First of all, they sideline one of the 3 main characters for the entire trilogy. I get that Padme's pregnant. I get it. But like, pregnant people can still like do stuff. Like, all Padme does in this movie is be pretty, be pregnant, and die. Like, that's it. That's all she does. I really wish that they kept in that storyline where Palpatine was like manipulating Anakin to be like, oh my god, Anakin, Padme is cheating on you with Obi-Wan. I think that this storyline, A, would have given Natalie Portman way more screen time, which she deserves because she's Natalie Portman, and B, given the last scene of the 3 of them together so much more meaning. Women chef's kiss. And that is my second issue with this film. Its unused storylines, in my opinion, are much better than the ones that made the cut, or they should have like at least incorporated those other side plots into the story. But with all that being said, I think that this film beautifully demonstrates Anakin's descent into the dark side, but I do wish it could have just been a tiny bit better, a smidgen better. So I'm gonna put this film in A tier, but it is teetering on S tier. Now that we're done with the prequel trilogy, we have to do something very, very, very scary. We have to talk about the sequels. This is the part of the video where I am going to get cancelled because, to a certain extent, I am a sequels defender. I am against many decisions made in these films, but I do, in fact, enjoy 2 out of 3 of these films. The first movie I enjoy from this trilogy is Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, this movie slays. It's really good. The opening scene, oh my god. So much of this movie is just really, really cool. Like the wrecked Star Destroyer and being like a rogue stormtrooper, Hux's speech, the fall of the New Republic, Rey and Kylo's fight, just like, I could go on and on and on. Now, this is controversial. I really like Rey, but I especially enjoy Rey in this movie and how excited and like enthusiastic she is about everything. I love how she strives to like emotionally connect with all the different characters on such like a deep level. It just warms my little heart. This movie, it represents a simpler time where the possibilities were endless. So I am going to have to put this movie in A tier. Next up, we have another sequel trilogy film that I do enjoy. I've spoken highly about a few films here, but so far, none of them have been my favorites. Well, ladies, gents, and other creatures of the galaxy, it is time to reveal my favorite Star Wars movie. Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I know, controversial, especially among a certain crowd. However, I love this movie, and I don't understand why people don't like it. I love this movie. I will confess that there are some things I don't like. One of those things being the Finrose subplot, because I'm an adamant believer in Finpo. However, I am willing to ignore all these minor factors because I do love this movie so much. One thing I love about this movie is Rey and Kylo's like parallel character arcs. I could like ramble on about this for like God knows how long, but I'm not going to. I think this was a wonderful addition to the series and to this trilogy. Had so much potential. And it's very unfortunate that we couldn't follow through on what Rian Johnson so obviously set up. We're not gonna focus on that. We're gonna focus just on this movie and how good it is. So we are putting it in S tier. Last but not least, we have The Rise of Skywalker. If I started explaining my reasoning for this placement, I would start yelling. I'm being so serious. I hate this movie. And it's not even a thing where it's like, oh, I wish they did this specific plotline. I wish they had Duel of the Fates instead. Because like, I've like looked over Duel of the Fates and there are like a lot of things that I don't like about Duel of the Fates. Instead of listing all the things I hate about The Rise of Skywalker, so I'm just gonna put some clips of scenes that I hate.
You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
Friend's old job was running spice.
You're a spice runner?
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Thank you. Now that we have covered the main films, we're gonna talk very briefly about the 2 anthology films. First one being Rogue One. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but I don't like Rogue One. I think it's boring. It's not bad. It's just boring. And I do think that's worse than being bad because at least I remember what happens in The Rise of Skywalker. I could not tell you a single thing that happens in Rogue One besides them dying. I'm so sorry. And I'm gonna put this in F tier. Now, I'm gonna get attacked for this. I'm putting Solo higher than Rogue One because I do like Solo. I think it's fun. I do wish that they leaned into the more comedy aspect, and I do think it's stupid how Han got his last name, but I do think it gives him a solid backstory and it introduces us to like a lot of really cool aspects of the Star Wars universe. This film also gave us Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, and oh my god, he's literally perfect for this role. Some stuff about this movie I don't really care for, but overall, I do like this movie. B tier. Last, but certainly not least, we have the shows and made-for-TV movie. We have 4 of these to cover, so we're gonna do an ultra-fast lightning round. Clone Wars movie, C tier. It's just okay, and the animation is ugly. Clone Wars series, S tier. Literally the best addition to Star Wars. Gives everything going forward so much more meaning. Rebels, S tier. This is my favorite piece of Star Wars media. If y'all gave it a chance, y'all would find some of the best storytelling in all of Star Wars. The Mandalorian, high B tier. I'm scared of what's gonna happen. Book 1 was good. Book 2 was amazing, and Book 3 has been good so far. But I'm scared. We're done. Thank you so much. If you have stuck around this long, I hope you have enjoyed me rambling about my lifelong obsession with the Star Wars franchise. If you want more like this from me, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!